living a real population revolution. Between 1950 and 2000, world population rose from 1,400 to more than 6 billion. That is to say, it quadrupled. This unprecedented population growth mainly takes place in the cities. South America, North America, and Europe already have 3/4 of their population living in urban areas. By 2030, Africa and Asia will reach similar proportion. This new world situation does not only require a greater production and consumption of food, goods, energy, drinking water, and land. It also risks the ecosystem's balance and even the survival of the planet. Nowadays, more than 1 billion people all over the world suffer due to housing insecurity caused by wars and natural disasters, social, economic, and racial discrimination, and the commercial logic of the financial capital, which perceives housing as a business and not as a right. The amount of homeless people or people living under poor housing conditions should decrease by 100 million by 2020, as established by the 7th of the Millennium Development Goals. Nevertheless, all the indications are that numbers will increase by another 700 million by 2020. The factors resulting in this serious urban situation are diverse. Firstly, the privatization of public services and liberalization of the real estate market in a large part of Europe, Russia, the United States, and Asia. Secondly, policies announced by the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank impose reductions in social policies and privatization of the public services. And finally, the occupations and wars such as those in Palestine, Iraq, Colombia, and the ethnic cleaning operations from the former Yugoslavia to the United Kingdom have caused the perpetuation of poverty and housing deprivation. The strategies promoted by the United Nations assign the main role regarding habitat and urban development to the market. However, this approach has not been successful. The neoliberal globalization and the commercialization of the territories and essential services have caused new problems. One of the most serious problems is the waste of vital resources that may become exhausted, like water. Other dramatic consequences are the segregation and isolation of the inhabitants with less resources, the violation of the individual and collective rights such as housing and participation in decision-making, and the accelerated identity loss of the human communities and their territories. Likewise, every day, urban soil prices rise indiscriminately, massive evictions take place, and basic regulations are eliminated before the eruption of the free market and great capital. Nowadays, there is a very close relationship between migration, urbanization, and poverty, due mainly to the fact that populations which suffer the most in the poor countries take refuge massively in huge urban conglomerations such as Mumbai, Cairo, Kolkata, Mexico City, or Nairobi. These populations live on the outskirts of the cities, without a steady job, with great deficiencies, without services, watching the modernity offered by the mass media, but without being able to touch it or benefit from it to improve their life conditions. On September 12, 2003, aimed at proposing alternatives to these problems, representatives of urban associations and movements from different regions of the world met in Madrid. That is how the International Alliance of Inhabitants was formed. This alliance intends to form a united and solidarity front to the perverse consequences of exclusion, poverty, deterioration of the environment, exploitation and violence caused by neoliberal globalization. The roots of the alliance are based in the will of the inhabitants to make their own voice to be heard at the international level. Its process began within the framework of a series of events around the world, such as the World Assembly of Urban Inhabitants of 2000 in Mexico and the social forums, among other events. The Alliance is an intercultural, comprehensive, autonomous and solidarity movement. It seeks to work in a coordinated manner with other progressive social movements for the respect to social, cultural and political diversity. One of the first objectives of the Alliance is to encourage the inhabitants' movements that have no say at the international level to get to know each other, to get together, to struggle for and conquer in a coordinated manner their vindications. The Alliance also prepares proposals of substantial changes in the housing and cities situation in order to transform them in supportable spaces with social and gender equity. In a long-term basis, the objectives of the Alliance are the acknowledgement and materialization of the housing and habitat right, as well as of all the economic, social, political and cultural rights of the inhabitants, with no boundaries. Along this path, we should create alternative development models of neoliberalism in which the public sector and civil society play the leading role. The International Alliance of Inhabitants is developing a series of activities and proposals aimed at ensuring the fulfillment of the housing and city right, and to strengthen the urban social movements. Among them, we highlight the launching of the Urban Popular University, the project for the creation of a popular fund for the right to land and housing, and the Zero Evictions campaign. The Urban Popular University seeks to surpass the strict division between theory and practice, encouraging social activists to include research in their work within the permanent strategy of reflection and action. The first international course of the Urban Popular University took place in May 2006 in Buenos Aires. The encounter was called Building the Urban Popular University and had the participation of leaders of working-class communities from Argentina, Peru, and Brazil. The Popular Fund for the Right to Land and Housing is a proposal prepared by the International Alliance of Inhabitants in order to create a global financial instrument which helps to ensure the housing right. This fund comes from exchanges and cancellations of foreign debt and must help to strengthen public policies that benefit the poorest and most neglected populations. Finally, the Zero Evictions campaign has been launched to deal with the dramatic situation suffered by 1 billion people around the world due to housing insecurity. The objective of the campaign is to defend everyone's housing right. No one must be evicted. If it is necessary to resettle the inhabitants, honorable and safe solutions must be found by talking to the affected parties. Within the framework of Zero Evictions, the local campaigns have an impact in countries like Kenya, Zimbabwe, Nigeria, the Dominican Republic, Brazil, Peru, Italy, France, Croatia, and the United Kingdom, in which millionaire real estate projects and privatization policies have led hundreds of thousands of people to the point of eviction. Nowadays, new campaigns have been set up in Tamil Nadu, India, Russia, the United States, Palestine, Mexico, and Argentina. This is our contribution to the running of the urban way, the solidarity, global and unitary space of inhabitants associations and urban social movements, which has already more than 200 members all around the world. We are already preparing the next World Assembly of Urban Inhabitants. As settlers, we cannot be passive observers of our environment's degradation anymore. We cannot restrict ourselves to struggle for our local vindications. We need to act from now, horizontally, and with mutual cooperation in the local, national, regional, and global front. That is the only way to prove that a different world is possible.